Okay, we are back. Let me just give me a moment. Let me share screen. Sorry. Yeah. My screen visible?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So this is what we were seeing, right? We can either accept or reject. So devotee is a person who completely is surrendered, okay? And he accepts deductive knowledge as such because we know that it's coming from people who have experimented and experienced and they've given conclusions. So we do not have to repeat things again. So what does Krishna say? This divine energy of mine, Daivi Hesha Gunamahi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Okay. So I said that this world is bound to have miseries. There is temporary happiness and miseries as well. So it's cyclical, keeps going. So why does this happen? Why is this the nature of this world? So it is said that God's illusory energy or Maya is at play in this world. Okay. As a result of the influence of this illusory energy, we have temporary happiness and distress that goes on, and dichotomous situations in all cases here. So how to overcome this? How to get rid of this? How to see beyond this material illusory energy? It's like a veil that prevents us from seeing the actual truth, or experience the things that that we are bound to experience. I mean, experience and go back to where we have come from, to the spiritual world. This Maya prevents us from doing that. This illusory energy prevents us. She has been employed to do that. Okay. So how to get beyond this illusory energy? And so in this purport it's given, in this translation it's given, those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Right? Like I said, material energy, illusory energy, all work under the instructions and under God himself, under his instructions and under him. So they're all subordinate. So if we are surrendered unto God himself and he decides to protect us, then they cannot influence either material energy or illusory energy, Maya, cannot have an influence on us. God instructs them not to create a barrier, not to create an issue. They have to follow, right? So for those who have surrendered unto God, they can easily cross this material illusory energy. Otherwise, it's very difficult, right? It's very difficult because this material illusory energy is extremely strong and we cannot perceive in the presence of this illusory energy with our limited senses. Okay. This is given in the 14th shloka. So to surrender and to accept this deductive knowledge is very wise. Give me a moment. Yeah. So there are 4 types of people who never surrender. Okay. First one is Moodha. Okay. The people who are grossly foolish, and some of the words in the Bhagavad Gita can seem very straightforward and harsh, but it's just facts. Okay. People who do not have enough intelligence and, who are grossly foolish, and they work hard and they only want to go on trying on their own. When they have help, they do not want to seek help. So these kinds of people are called Moodha, meaning foolish. Okay. And then Naradhama, people who are uncivilized, okay, and considered the lowest of mankind. This is not something to be taken as an offense, taken offensive. Like I said, these are facts. Okay. people can be classified based on how much they are using their intelligence, okay, and what type of activities that they resort to, okay. Naradhama meaning uncivilized people who do everything that it's not, that is considered antisocial or considered harmful in society, they're considered to be Naradhama. So such people fail to accept or surrender to God, or they're not eligible to get this eternal knowledge. That is what is coming here. Then you have Maya Pahrita Jnana. So, like I said, the illusory energy is at play. Maya means the illusory energy. Okay. So, people who are completely under the spell of this illusory energy, they are misled by it. Although they may be using their intelligence, but they're unable to see beyond the veil of Maya. So, such misled intellectuals of society also, it's very difficult for them to surrender, okay, and accept the knowledge that someone else gives. So, for such people, it's difficult to gain this eternal knowledge. Okay. And Asurambha Vamashritaha, the demoniac natured people. Okay. So, everybody might have different thoughts when you think of demons. Okay. So, you might have these images of huge creatures, harmful, scary. But demon essentially means few demoniac qualities. Okay, so we will see there's an entire chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, the 16th chapter, that's dedicated to the study of 26 demoniac, 26 divine qualities and 6 demoniac qualities. So we'll see the people that have those qualities will not be able to surrender, and hence cannot get this eternal knowledge that we're talking about. Okay. So the same thing has been repeated in the 15th shloka. So there is one criteria in this whole pursuit of eternal knowledge, right? There's one thing that we have to do to get this eternal knowledge or become eligible to get it, and that is surrender. Okay. So there are 4 types of people who actually surrender. What are these 4 types of people? Number 1 is the distressed, right? We never think of God otherwise. Whenever there is some kind of distress that we're experiencing and we become helpless and powerless, and there's nothing else that can support us, that's when we try to go to God and say, oh God, why are you making us go through this? Why are we facing this? So, number 1, the distressed, they go and surrender. Okay. Number 2, people who are desirous of wealth, people who have a lot of material desires. Okay, they want to get a lot of wealth, fame, money. So these kind of people, they have a tendency to go to God and pray just to get that wealth. Okay. And then the third type of people are the curious, jignasu. There's no other intention, but they really want to know what is this concept of God, and does God exist? Does he have a form? How is he like? So these are the people that they come and listen to experienced people, they surrender eventually. Okay, the curious. And finally, Jnani is a person who sets out in search of true knowledge. Okay. So, 4th type of people are the Jnanis. They are the actual intelligentsia, okay, who surrender unto experienced people and take their instructions and follow the path that is recommended. Okay, these are the Jnanis. These 4 types of people who actually surrender, they become eligible to get the eternal knowledge.
What about who surrenders for the love of God?
One who surrenders for the love of God. Surrender means, see, all of these, this is the starting point. Okay. You go to God when you're distressed, when you need something, okay, when you're curious about, you want to know about God, or someone who's in real pursuit of this knowledge. They really want to, follow this path of finding out about God and knowing about him, right? So this is the first step. Then you surrender. Then eventually, with the instructions of the Guru, you progress towards love of God. So everybody will, all of these 4 types of people will eventually progress towards what you just said. They will get love of God. That is the goal. It is not the starting point. You want to get love of God, that is the goal of it. Love of God means what? You're completely focused and absorbed in God's thought. You're able to focus one pointedly on one single thought, which is such a big achievement, right? You're able to focus on God, and by God's grace, eventually things get revealed to you. Because with these limited senses, it's not possible. Things get revealed to you because, unlike our material objects like microscopes or other devices, these senses are limited, but with God's grace, we can have perceptions beyond the possibilities of these senses. Okay. Using a compound microscope, you can't suddenly make it into an electron microscope and it can't suddenly see everything. But with our senses, although they're limited, there is a possibility with God's grace. It is possible that we see further beyond what our senses permit. Okay. So that's the thing. 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for the knowledge of the absolute. These are the 4 types of people. Among these 4, who is the best? The jnanis, or the intelligentsia. Okay, those who are searching or seeking for the knowledge of the absolute. These are considered to be the best among the 4 people who seek. Okay. But among all, who is the best? The bhaktas. Bhaktas are the people who render devotional service through love of God, for the love of God. So such people are considered to be the best, because without having to put in too much of effort, if you want to know God, you render loving service unto him and he reveals himself to you. You don't have to go in pursuit of him for lifetimes and lifetimes. So among these, bhakta, or the devotee, is the best. And a pure devotee is very rare. Okay? Pure devotee is a person who has no other intention other than loving God. Okay. Most of the times, if we want to love someone, we have these checklist, pre-romance checklist, let's say. Okay. Do they have money? Do they have a good place to live? Do they have good taste in food, music, and stuff like that? Do they have nice people around them? So we have all this checklist. So when it comes to loving God, again, we have all our checklists. So even among people who love God, there are very few people who are devoid of these checklists and who are actually there just to love and serve God, right? So such devotees who are there just to love, just to render their loving service to God, are called as pure devotees. Right? After many, many births, after going through many cycles of births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge and surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is, such a great soul is considered to be very, very rare. Okay, such a person is very rare, who does not come with these kinds of extra checklists. Okay, and this kind of love comes after undergoing several cycles of births and deaths, evolving through several life forms, okay? Having born several times in the human form of life. After that, we realize that all these checklists are of no value, okay? And ultimately, love is the most superior thing, and we have to develop love for God. So the goal of all types of yoga systems is to develop this love for God, because eventually only through his grace is this eternal knowledge revealed to us. Okay. So what are demigods? It's a very big debatable question, especially because in Indian culture, we have several different types of gods. Okay. Because God has stated that he's present in every living entity, we have this tendency to personify, okay, even rivers, even trees, okay, they're all considered to be living entities, and we worship them because God is present in them. So what are demigods? Now we have many different types of varieties of gods, okay, because we worship all living entities in Hinduism. So who is the supreme God and who are demigods? Let's see, this is the last part of this chapter. So those So demigods are believed to be component energies of the whole. Okay, God, the supreme personality of Godhead, embodies the entire energy, but he distributes this energy or expands his energy to different living entities. Okay, so these different types of living entities who are on a superior plane than ourselves are considered to be demigods, and they are more empowered and more powerful, more energetic than us in terms of spiritual energy. So a lot of people have the habit of praying to demigods, which is not an issue at all. Okay, but what is said here, when you have, when you know and you have access to the president, let's say, would you go and you know request something? You need to get a work done, you have direct access to the president, but you choose to go and talk to one of the ministers. Is this very practical and wise? Is your work likely to get done quickly? What do you think? Nikki says no. What about you, Tika? If you're friends with the president and you can get, you can talk directly to him, you have access to him, but you have other, you have ministers and stuff like that whom you can access to. So among these, which will you choose to get your work done? The higher one, right? So
Depends on the work.
depends on the work. Correct. So what is said here is, when you know and you have access to the supreme energy, it's wiser to go seek help from him rather than seeking help from component energies of his. There is no offense in praying to other gods or taking their help or praying, approaching the other gods. But it's wiser when you have access to, the supreme God, to just pray to him. Okay. So those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. So what does this mean? See, now we have goddess, the photo of goddess Lakshmi there on the first row. Okay, you would see some gold coins coming off her hands. I don't know. I'll show Nikki later on. So she's supposed to be the demigod of wealth. Okay. So people who desire wealth back in India, what we do is we worship goddess Lakshmi and ask her for wealth. Okay. So it's okay. Like Kartikeya said, depends on what you want. So if you're just focused on wealth, you can go to Lakshmi Devi because she's empowered to make people wealthy. Okay, and she is supposed to be the abode of or embodiment of wealth. Okay, but who provides this wealth to Lakshmi Devi? Who provides this wealth to Lakshmi or this goddess? There has to be some source. Okay? So the supreme creator is believed to be Lord Krishna, and he is believed to provide these energies and these skills and these opulences to other gods. So if you pray to Lord Krishna, obviously it's like you have prayed to all other gods. So you, by his mercy, you get everything, even things that you have not asked for. If you go to Lakshmi Devi, she's empowered with wealth. She can give you wealth. Okay. But other things that you did not even ask for, she's not capable to provide you that. But Lord Krishna, because he embodies all the gods in himself, if you ask for one thing, he might provide you way more than you ask. Okay. This might seem controversial. Okay. This might seem something that's not in accordance with your thoughts, which is absolutely fine. Okay. This is what is taught in our philosophy. And it's up to you. Everybody is in a different level of understanding, and we can take it as per our capabilities. Right. And there's no hierarchy. So we're not trying to say somebody is superior, somebody is not. But this is what is stated in the scriptures. That's what I'm repeating. Okay. So demigod worship, why do we worship these demigods? Like I just explained, we have lots of desires and intelligence. We're not using it in its entirety. Sorry, my video. Okay. But am I audible to everyone? Can I please see your responses in the chat box? Yeah. Pranav says my video is interrupting. Okay, sorry. This So could be some network issues. Sorry, EduRoam is not working. Okay.
Yeah, it's really.
Oh, right. So what's the result of the demigod worship? Limited temporary results. And these demigods are believed to reside in their own planets. Okay. So after, if we continue to worship them, we are eligible to go to the planets that whichever demigod we worship, we become eligible to go to their planets. Okay. But the highest planet is known as Goloka Vrindavana. A lot of people might not have heard of it. In our scriptures, we have a description of the planetary system. Okay. And there are supposed to be multiple universes with different planets with living entities in them. And different demigods have planets designated to them. Okay. So when we worship a specific demigod, we go to their planet and we live there until we have exhausted our merits. Then we fall back to the cycle of birth and death in this planet called Bhuloka. Okay. But once we exit this plane, this material plane, and we reach the spiritual abode called Goloka Vrindavana, there is no return from there. There we do not experience birth, death, old age, and disease, because there we do not have material bodies made up of these 5 gross elements. We do not possess such material bodies there. Okay? We will see it's also called Vaikuntha, and we'll see what Vaikuntha is, what kind of people live there, what are the features there, what can we experience if we are there. It comes in future chapters. Okay. So persons who in previous lives, whose sinful reactions are completely gone, okay, they become freed from the dualities of delusion and they engage themselves in the service of God with determination. Okay. When we engage in such service, such loving service to God, eventually things get revealed in our heart. Okay. And then we become eligible to progress from this material universe to that spiritual abode from where there is no return. Okay. There are too many things in this chapter which appear very vague and controversial. Okay. Do not get scared of it or do not worry about it. Okay. If you're not able to understand, it's absolutely fine. I was not able to accept many things in this chapter when I first read the Bhagavad Gita. It is absolutely fine. Okay. Bhagavad Gita is believed to be a scripture that has to be read over and over again because it has several things that are not easy to understand in the first few reads. So it's something that has to go on. It's believed to be a learning of a lifetime, right? Just keep that in mind. Don't worry if you're not able to get things in the first book. So this chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga, or knowledge of the absolute. Okay, it has 4 components: hearing, okay, looking, ability to see God everywhere, E, whether we accept or reject this eternal knowledge, and then who are demigods. This is all that we saw in this chapter. Okay, so basically it's all about this eternal knowledge that comes with us through lifetimes. We acquire it through hearing, different ways of gaining knowledge we saw, right? When we get this eternal knowledge, what's the result of it? We are able to see the presence of God in everything and everywhere. Okay, he says he's present in living entities, but we also are able to see him as the essence in everything that exists. Okay, we can either accept or reject. We saw different types of people that accept or reject, and then we saw what are demigods. Right? So that's the end of this chapter, right? So I will end this session with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and I request you all to chant this mantra with me. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Hare Krishna. And we'll now quickly go towards our quiz. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Perfect. Okay, video is stopping and starting. I apologize. It's raining. And there are internet issues in the UK. Sorry for the interruptions. I hope I'm audible. Okay. So I want you all to please get to the chat box, and I'm going to give you the first live question in a minute. Once you're ready, please mention yes in the chat box. Nishant is saying we witnessed 6 seasons today.
One more you can witness.
Yeah, it has been sunny and very lovely this morning, and then it was rainy. Yeah, that's 2. It was windy. Okay, 3. The other
Then
3.
it was cloudy.
It was cloudy also. Okay.
Also much rain monsoon.
Yeah, we experienced it. This was not your live question. Okay. Okay, right. The first live question is, what is the acronym for the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? What is the acronym for the 7th chapter? Oh, very quick. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, great. Among the 4 people that surrender to God, what is the first type? I said 4 types of people surrender to God, right? What's the first type? There are 4 types of people who surrender to God, right? Artha. Artha. Ah, okay. I see only one person who's got the answer here. I said 4 types of people surrender to God. 4 types of people never surrender, right? Lartha, Artha, Artha. No, that's not the answer. Okay. There's one correct answer in the chat box, which I'm not going to reveal now. Later on. Okay. Right. Among the 4 people who surrender to God, the first type is, okay, it's coming in the chat box now. Okay. Oh, I forgot to give a countdown today. Okay, in the countdown of 5, we'll go to the third question. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, can someone please type questions? Pranav, I think it's maybe my voice is getting interrupted. I apologize. Is everybody else able to hear me clearly? Can you please mention in the chat box? Am I audible? Shivani says yes. I'll send in the typed questions later on tonight in the group, okay? So don't worry. It is interrupted, okay? I'll try to repeat the question several times, okay? The third and the last question for today is, the first acronym, which is hearing, is mentioned or elaborated in which shlokas of the 7th chapter? So the first acronym hearing has been elaborated in which verses or shlokas of the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? Excellent. Unanimous answers in the chat box, which is good to see. Excellent. Yes. Your answers are correct. Perfect. Okay. Great. You've all done greatly well. So I will put the questions and the answers tonight on the WhatsApp group. Okay. Right. Now I'm very happy to take your questions from our discussions today or before. Okay. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat box or raise your hands to unmute, or people who are in person, please feel free to just ask your questions, which is fine. Okay. I have 10 minutes for the question answer session today. So please be quick in your questions. Those who surrender to God, one of them is desirous of wealth. Can you explain how this is possible? Because wealth is material in nature and is a distraction. Okay, yes. So the person who is desirous of wealth, do you think he's aware of wealth being material, material and perishable? Wealth is not something that's going to come with you over lifetimes, right? It's not eternal. Despite knowing this, this person desires wealth. Why? Why does a person desire wealth? Despite knowing that it's not going to come with him or her. Your question has several components, so that's why I need to get things clear before I get to the answer. So that he can live comfortably, yes, for his family, correct, right? So through wealth, one can live comfortably, and living comfortably, what's the result of living comfortably? What do you get if you live comfortably? What do you get out of it? Why do you want that comfort? For peace of mind, for satisfaction, for happiness, right? Eventually, even a person who is desiring wealth, all he wants is to be peaceful and happy with the money that he gets. All he wants to get is peace and happiness. But these are all in the material world. There is no permanent peace and happiness. Neither is wealth permanent, right? But we desire for it, expecting for happiness and peace of mind. So those who surrender to God, one of them is desire of wealth, desirous of wealth, right? He desired wealth because he eventually desired happiness and peace, right? So such a person, even if he surrenders to God desiring for wealth, eventually his desires will be purified. And he'll understand that this wealth is not everything, neither is it eternal. There is no point. He will be granted wealth also, but eventually he will realize that this wealth is not going to provide him the happiness that he is expecting to get from it, right? So the knowledge gets revealed as he progresses further. That's what I can say about this. Kartikeya says he needs wealth for donation. Really? Okay. To fulfill his dreams. Yeah, yeah. So why? Eventually, even after fulfilling dreams, what's the point of fulfilling dreams? You need something out of the dreams, right? You're expecting to be happy after fulfilling your dreams. So the ultimate thing that we're all expecting out of wealth, out of fulfilling dreams, out of health, is happiness and peace of mind, right? And we realize that, after praying to God for wealth, we get the wealth, but we don't get that kind of happiness that we expect. So eventually, what happens is, if you surrender to God, you get people, you get the association of people who can guide you, right? That what you are desiring for is not possible to get with the methods that you're adopting. So you're desiring for wealth, but what you're actually desiring for is happiness. You won't get that with wealth. So you will be directed, you will be guided, right? You will get the association of the right people. That's what happens when you surrender to God. Right? And eventually you're guided further on how to proceed towards the spiritual world where happiness is permanent. It is not like the temporary happiness that we get here. Right. Harsha, I think that was a little too elaborate. Okay. Did I answer your question, Harsha? If you can put it in the chat box. Right. Do we have any other questions? And don't worry too much. Like I said, this chapter is a little tough and vague to understand, and you will get to know further as we progress. Okay. The next chapter, 8th chapter, is very interesting because it's all about death and what happens at the time of death. What are our thoughts? What happens after? Right. Thank you, Harsha, for that response. Okay. Do we have any other questions? If you can please put it in the chat box. And please feel free to ask your questions. This is like a discussion, okay? I'm not going to be offended, or I'm not going to feel bad or anything about any of the questions. If you have a controversial question, I'll be happy to take it. So please ask. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat box. No questions. Is Lord Ganesha a demigod? Yes, yes. Lord Ganesha is considered to be a demigod. He is empowered with several siddhis. Okay. He's empowered with several, how do I explain siddhis in English? So he has a lot of powers. Okay. But he's considered to be a demigod because he has limited powers which have been given to him.
He's married to Siddhi.
Yeah, he's married to Riddhi and Siddhi. Yeah. So to answer this question, Kumar ji, the answer is yes. Lord Shiva, although I think somebody asked me last class, Lord Shiva, who is the father of Lord Ganesha, he is not considered to be a demigod. He's considered to be among the greatest devotees, because one can learn from his life what surrender really means. So he is not considered to be a demigod. We say that we cannot see God, but for obvious reasons. What are your thoughts about the idols in our religion? We cannot see God, but our scriptures say that God is present everywhere. He's present in the hearts of all living entities, isn't it? So when we keep idols, even in living and even the existence of non-living entities, now there are several studies and in our scriptures as well talking about atoms and the movement of subatomic particles, which was way before the discovery of protons, electrons. Okay, you can read about the scripture published by Maharishi Kanad, Kanad, and he writes about atoms and subatomic particles. So electrons, all of us know that electrons move about the nucleus of an atom, right? We would have all studied this. Where do electrons gain this energy for the motion? So we might argue that it's electrostatic energy and stuff like that. But there has to be a source of this energy, like constant supply of energy for these electrons to move around. So even in non-living entities, there is the presence of God's energies, not as super soul, but God's energies energy is present even in non-living entities. So when we keep idols, we do not just keep idols. They're made of wood, or they're made of metal, or they're just stone. But we just do not keep those idols. We chant mantras, and we transmit some sound vibrations, right? Through which energy gets concentrated in those idols. And the worship of those idols is hence recommended, because we are now consciously consecrating those idols, chanting mantras, and you know making those idols powerhouses of energy, so that whenever we go and pray in front of them, we are able to receive that energy from those idols. Okay, does that answer your question, Harsha? God is omnipresent and omnipotent and omniscient. Yes. Satchit Ananda. Yes, correct. This is what is given in our scriptures. He's omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Yes. Harsha, did that answer your question about the idols? Idols are not considered God. Yes, idols are considered God. So God's energy is consecrated in those idols. Idols are considered God. Yes. And and God is not considered to be a formless entity. He is a person. So we treat the idol like a person. If in Hindu tradition, if you have an idol at home, you're supposed to offer food to that idol. You're supposed to put that idol to sleep. You're supposed to bathe that idol. It might seem like it is very impractical and stupid and foolish. It's not, because you're consecrating God's energy in that. God is a personality. Because you personally cannot go and see this person and offer food to him, or put him to sleep, or treat him like a person in your family. You do all those things to the idol, and it reaches God. Okay? So idols are gods, right?
It is written in our scriptures how God looked. So we've created idols like
Yeah. God and his incarnations and his energies coming as demigods. There is a description of their appearance, okay, how they looked, what they wore, all of that is given. So we create idols, like Karthikeya said. Okay, perfect. So I don't see other questions, and our meeting is about to end. So I'll quickly wrap it up and say a prayer. Vancha kalpatarubhischa kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. And we'll continue next week about death. Okay, it's a very interesting chapter. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you for all the in-person attendees. Thank you.